Hello, lovely people. Oh, good Lord. It's the morning after, it's actually the afternoon after the midnight before. It's the Saturday after the news has broken of the return of the Daleks master plan. The Nightmare Begins and Devil's Planet, the episode you're about to hear me commentate upon as part of Happy Times and Places. Just a reminder that everything aside from this introduction and an outro that I'll also redo, is a repeat, unedited, unchanged, unsullied by a modern outlook based on the watching of the episodes. This is what I thought and hoped and dreamed and observed watching a very good recon from Loose Cannon and an approximation of what we thought the Devil's Planet episode might have looked like. Well, now we know, but before it's unleashed so that we can all see it, I've been in the privileged position where I have, but that's not going to inform anything I tell you here, because I want you to come fresh to it, because that's how I did, and what a privilege and a pleasure it was to watch this magic unfold before my eyes without any idea of what was to come. But I thought in the build-up, because it's going to be a long couple of weeks until the episodes are unleashed on iPlayer, I thought it would be nice to share in the excitement by just having a amuse-bouche in the form of this repeat, just as a reminder of those days when Devil's Planet didn't exist. It's also, of course, a happy sad occasion because we've got new old Who on a happy sad occasion, because the other contributor to this podcast, Ian K. McLachlan, who loved Hartnell Who so much and watched it all, well, he watched it all apart from Assassin at Peking. He never saw Marco Polo episode 7. He gave so much insight and enthusiasm, I think, into these episodes of Master Plan. I was so nervous about doing a 12-parter, and especially a 12-parter that was largely missing, because it was then. But Ian's contribution made it so easy and fascinating. And, you know, he was a fan from back in the day. He had letters from William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton. But Ian, sadly, since recording his contribution, has passed away. What a shame he didn't live to see. These things would have given him so much pleasure. So it's on his behalf, I think, that we watch them and remind ourselves how lucky we are. And we'll all be able to do it soon. God, we'll be bored of them in a month. But until then, so just a little bit of context, I think, just to give you something a little bit extra because you've tuned in again to a repeat. I have been involved in the process. Obviously, you may have seen the interview that I did on BBC Breakfast, and the fact that I was present when Peter Purves showed these two returned episodes. I had the great privilege of sitting next to him and, in fact, breaking the news to him, because I have been involved in this. But I do want to point out that my releasing of these two episodes is not to draw focus or to in any way pretend that I had any more involvement other than being essentially a useful idiot. Film is Fabulous is what this is all about. John at Film is Fabulous has been meticulous. He has been sympathetic to the needs of the rather quite poorly, when he was first engaging with him, owner of these films, and then subsequently his estate, and has made sure everything has been done right by the owner, by his estate, and indeed by the BBC. This has taken a lot of careful balance and planning and diplomacy. I have been very much on the outside. I was brought on board simply because I know the world of the choppy waters of Doctor Who, and because I have a few contacts within the Doctor Who world. So it was known that I didn't know what the episodes were at the time, but it was known that I was likely to be able to make contact with Peter Purves and make sure that all that went very smoothly and without spilling out, and that because John is not a glory seeker himself, that I was likely to be the sort of media face of some of this stuff. That has been very much my peripheral and outside role. So please don't take the fact that I've been seen a lot over the past few days and that I'm throwing out adjacent and related material, that I am in any way suggesting that this is anything to do with me. They could have done all of this without my help, but there's been a small group of us who've been there on hand just to offer little bits of advice and be asked for opinions and thoughts. But the work has been done by Film is Fabulous. So if you're going to listen to my stuff and you're going to watch my new YouTube stuff that comes out in the next few days, which is, again, purely me sharing in the joy rather than saying, look, I had loads to do with this, because I didn't. And so please don't think that I'm thrusting myself in the spotlight. I'm more just trying to shine some of the light outwards so that we can all bask in it, even if it's just in the form of a repackaged episode of Happy Times and Places from the past. But film is fabulous, away you want to go. They've got some background on the finds. They've got some brilliant essays that have been done by Oliver Crocker. There's some interview material on their website that you can read. There's also videos that have been done by Tim Burrows and Gavin Rymill, who've also been involved behind the scenes in terms of getting this out there and making sure it's all done properly. So head to those places first. And if you do come back here, as I say, don't be under any illusion that The Nightmare Begins and Devil's Planet would still be in a box somewhere if it wasn't for me, because I've just been a voyeur that's occasionally been allowed to touch. Can I say that? Ha ha ha. So anyway, thanks to Ian. From all those years ago, he couldn't have believed that this would happen. I can't quite believe that this would happen. I was going to be doing so much content today, and I'm absolutely exhausted. It's been quite draining, but in only the best possible way. And I've heard from Peter Purvis. He's absolutely thrilled with how the whole thing has gone, and he was really touched by being able to see these episodes again. I think we knew The Nightmare Begins was going to be good because it's such a taut, dour scene setting beginning of an epic, and I think we probably went into Devil's Planet thinking, but this is where the story gets to be a bit sort of travelogue-y and routine, and we'll probably be a bit used to it by then. And it was a really pleasant surprise. I think we all came out going, wasn't Devil's Planet good? So there's lots of fun to be had in this episode, and as you'll hear, there's a few things I speculate about because those were the days, weren't they, when archaeology was key. All we had were the camera scripts and a few photos and some paperwork and ideas. That's all you can have as a researcher and an enthusiast and an archaeologist, is to go, well, I think this might have happened. I hope this might have happened. I hope this scene was well realised and they didn't do this, or, well, now we're going to, we know. I'm not going to tell you how my theories have gone, but I stand by everything, because I've been in, we all indulge in these fantasies and these theories. That's all part. I love what happens in Doctor Who on screen, but I love the archaeology just as much, and the return of these episodes has opened up the possibility for even further archaeology, whilst also solving some of the mysteries that had lain dormant within those cans since they left the BBC in 19 whenever. I don't know. We may never know. So, for the last time probably, let's have a listen to somebody, me, talking about a recon of Devil's Planet, because very soon, none of us will need to. But for now, recon away. It's Happy Times and Places, a positively inclined Doctor Who commentary podcast in which I, Toby Hadoke, watch a Doctor Who story with a friend of mine and have to see if I can guess what their favourite things about it are.
Hello, I'm Ian McLachlan, and I have been a fan of Doctor Who since the 30th of November 1963, when I saw the repeat of An Unearthly Child. Now, the story I have chosen is the Dalek Master Plan.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm recording this on New Year's Day 2022. Patrons will be hearing it about a week after that. Non-patrons, oh my God, the sun is probably shining when you are. But that's the deal. This isn't a current affairs show, and I like the patrons to be far ahead of everybody else, because it justifies their kind patronage. But also it means my turnover for them has to sort of race along and be almost live. Anyway, it's been a while since I watched the Daleks master plan, because Christmas came and went. I had a vague, naive notion that maybe I'd be watching the Daleks master plan at the same time as it went out. So, episode 7 on Christmas Day, episode 8 on, around New Year's, around New Year's. And I've got to episode 3, and both of those events have gone. The best laid plans of mice. We'll see what happens to the mice in episode 5. And Toby's. So, listen, so I just watched a New Year's Day Dalek story that I very much enjoyed. Eve of the Daleks. So now we're going to go to the Devil's Planet, episode 3 of the Daleks master plan. And my guest is Ian K. McLachlan, who will be giving his verdict on his favourite thing of this episode, which is not an episode I know terribly well. I am watching the Loose Cannon reconstruction, and I am going to press play or select, because I'm on the menu, in 3, 2, 1. And, it takes a while to kick in. I wonder if anybody ever syncs up with me. So, I've been quite daunted doing the Daleks master plan because it's 12 episodes, but that's nuts because I don't ever do them all in one go. But it is an interesting story. Interesting alert. I need to give £1 to charity every time I say the I word, because we've discussed that. I'm going to get even less I if I keep repeating myself. There's a lovely picture of Katerina that we've got. So she starts the action. Peter Purves is very good at this high, sort of dramatic stuff. So I've got a reconstruction of that. These opening moments, even though I sort of know what they look like based on last week's, but clearly when this recon was done, whether the episode was restaged or not, they'd have probably had a go at using at least some of the pictures from it. I don't know offhand whether, because obviously sometimes the episodes were restaged and sometimes they were played in from a film recording done last week, as they're on the set here anyway. And it was a sort of actiony bit. I suspect they probably redid it to go straight into the action. I've recently been having trouble trying to reconcile the episode ending of episode 3 of the Daleks and the beginning with episode 4, because episode 4 has more material in it than the end of episode 3, and we're trying to work out whether episode 3 originally had some of that material and was cut because of damage to the tape or for timing or whatever. But that's all in one of my other podcasts. Too much information. I love this Dalek design, and these scenes are very nicely done in the recon, and they've got some of the blobby signal howl around on their scanners. I like it, the idea that the Daleks are sort of watching rejected Doctor Who title sequences. I would have used that bit. That looks more like time and space to me. And I don't know, I like these scenes I like black and white scenes with Daleks chatting to each other, and I like that. That's quite chilling, that musical sting that's used quite a lot in this story. Now, all I sort of seem to really remember about this episode is that they go to a prison planet, don't they? And there are some hairy convicts, and they're hiding from things called Screamers? They're called Screamers, which I suspect is basically a couple of feet, swooping into shot, and actors looking scared. Did they do it a bit like that? Hey, I've encountered a few Screamers myself, boys? And other jokes like that. Remember, I'm from the 1970s, when you could. Where are these stills from? When you could do jokes like that. And now, of course, you're able to do them slightly ironically, as if to take the mickey out of them, whilst doing them at the same time. It's called having your cake and eating it. I might turn the sound up because where's this girl from? She's from the past, which is why we decided she wasn't going to work as a character and wrote her out very quickly. Oh yes, so they're running away with the Terranium core. I like that. I mean, I think the fact that they have Brett with them makes it a bit more exciting than the chase where they're being chased through time and space by the Daleks, because this ties it back to the Earth plot and ties it in with stuff going on elsewhere, so it's a slightly broader canvas than the sort of slightly more parochial idea, if you like, that they're just chasing the time travellers. I like the fact that Earth has a stake in it. Oh, Zephon, yes. Did I actually... I seem to recall I got diverted, trying not to trip myself up, when talking about Julian Cherrier being of Indian heritage, so is therefore the first credited speaking actor, non-Caucasian speaking actor in Doctor Who. And he gets a bucket of seaweed on his head for the privilege. I read something about Cherrier. It was a court case involving the ownership of some trinkets, some quite some antiques that were quite worth quite a lot. Well, I can't remember the outcome now, but it was a contentious case between him and I think an ex. That's all on record somewhere. So if you want to find out what Zephon got up to in his personal life. Cherrier was actually still alive when episode 2 came back. It's a shame they didn't get him on the... I seem to recall in the commentary there's a bit where Kevin Stoney goes, "Oh, is that Julian?" When it's a close-up of seaweedy feet. I'm sure Peter Purvis said that Kevin Stoney didn't recognise him when they did the commentary because Kevin was so old. I never had the pleasure with Kevin Stoney. What a wonderful, wonderful actor. And we can see in this reconstruction it's got the aliens from Mission to the Unknown in the background as opposed to the aliens from the Dalek Master Plan, because I can see currently a Malfa in the Robert Cartland guys, which would not have been there. But I do, I do like the delegates. Although, Zephon is a little bit too archly overreaching. Is he about to get exterminated? I think he is. But this is where the Dalek sort of unity seems to come apart, because the minute they start exterminating people, you sort of go, execute, not exterminate. It's a bit stupid of the aliens from the other planets to kind of, and they kind of not going, so if they don't like us, they're going to kill us. What does everybody else from the planet of Zephon do now? They've killed our king. Oh, well, do we just wait here to be taken over then? It sort of it shrinks the international politics of it a little bit, if you like. I remember this picture. It's the picture of Stephen and Katerina and Brett looking at the Doctor as he's been doctored on this recon. They've been given masks, and it said, Nicholas Courtney ponders the future where he will retify, and Nicholas Courtney ponders the future where he will return as the Brigadier. Got so excited at the idea that the Brigadier had been in Doctor Who before. I love the fact that we've got so many little bits, little clips from this adventure, which by rights should be totally missing. And there is a sense of, threat. That they're on the run. They're quite desperate, and they're going to the planet Desperus, which I wonder what has it always been called that. Where should we keep our prisoners? Well, there is a planet called Desperus. Should we give it some nominative determinism, or was it was called the planet Innocuousness, and then they threw all these prisoners on it and rechristened it. It's a nice spaceship set from what we can see of it, nice and spacious. And I like Brett's costume. I covet Stephen's corduroy jacket. I'm assuming it's a kind of brown. And I'm amazed at the amount of photos that exist. Did they sort of stop taking photos kind of in the middle? I don't think that there are even any photos of the monk, are there? I think it seems as this story went on, everybody lost interest in it a little bit. I don't think there are... Oh, there's the stuff of Sarah aging in the film stuff, isn't there? But I don't think there's any studio stuff from many of the last episodes. There's a few colour photos from the middle. There's that one of Salation right in the background. And I'm sure there are more that exist that exist in private hands. Quite what the private hands are waiting for in order to share them. That I find that very... I was going to say bizarre. I think I'll use the word twatty instead. The idea of having the 6 Mona Lisas, but only you can see them. Especially as all this stuff's coming out now. It's probably going to be the last opportunity. Now, yeah, it's a different Mark Corey voice, isn't it? That's Peter Hawkins rather than Edward D'Souza, and I think the message is slightly different. But of course, that doesn't matter because nobody heard that. Nobody's heard that for 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. So you can sort of have it say what you want, and save having to pay an actor to use, their voice when you've got a perfectly good voice actor here. But it's a shame because now you'd do that. Now you'd hang the expense because actors aren't very expensive nowadays, or you'd probably put it in their contract that we get to lift a little clip of you and use that. And there is a clip coming up. We have got a clip from here we go. I love that this was saved by Blue Peter. Sort of wish somebody had copied the rest of the episode. Oh yeah. Oh. I think that's when I first realised that this bit existed. It was. I'm sure. Is it in Resistance is Useless? They use a little bit of them shaking about, and you go, "Oh, that's Brett and Katerina." So we actually had this before we had episode 2, but I guess Katerina doesn't say anything. Is that, or she doesn't say anything that we can see. So this was all we had of poor old Adrian Hill, apart from the clip from the next episode just before her death. She's. There aren't any guards and warders. Yeah, it's a pretty grim penal system. Courtney's very good. You can see why Camfield cast him. He's great at this stuff. And it goes straight into the Dalek clip. I've got a feeling when it was used on the Blue Peter, did it have the wrong soundtrack on it? I can't remember. But so we have quite a chunky sequence. But look, I love the 3 Daleks at the controls and the black Dalek. Even though it's essentially three props, it's nicely shot and they look good. They move well. Camfield shoots them nice and close, and it sustains. You can sustain the dialogue between the Daleks, and I know a lot of future writers and directors didn't like that, but you can do it. But it obviously helps that you have the purring sarcasm of Marvik Chen confidently wafting his way through this like a cunning cat who slowly unravels over the course of the story, which we will see. But I think all of the baddies in this make the mistake of thinking they're too clever for their own, of being too clever for their own good. But Kevin Stoney has all the time in the world, and that makes him so watchable and listenable. Because he's not. I think the more relaxed, it's the thing in stand-up comedy as well, the more relaxed you seem, even if you're dying inside, and you can always tell when a comic's struggling because they speed up. And I always say to fledgling comics, if you're struggling, don't try and motor through it. Slow down, because if you slow down, you seem confident. If you seem confident, the audience will have confidence in you. And that's the beauty of Kevin Stoney's performance, is that he purrs and he takes his time, and he's not flustered remotely. And so even though he's got these things screeching around him, and the contrast between him and the Daleks is so huge, you can tell why he made such an impact. And here we are. I'm always impressed that we've got photos of these three shaggy convicts, and I like the names Bors and Garge. Kirkson is a bit like a surname of he's the scroty one, isn't he? That the ironically, because he's the least Kirkson is the least dominant when you sort of reach about. These two poor women in the corner being fought over by these horrible. It's a terrible penal system that throws men and women together, and the men fight over the women. It's pretty unpleasant. But Kirkson is a fairly sort of snivelly character, and as he's the one who causes Katerina's death. Again, I think these days, he would be built up as much more of a sort of potent threat, and as the sort of A-grade villain of this small little segment. But it's remarkably unremarkable, which you could say is either them not having a sense of occasion, the production and the story, in that if you're going to kill off an important character, at least make it happen at the hands of somebody who's got an impressive villain CV. At least a city and guilds in Machiavellianism or sadism or violence or whatever. So Kirkson's reaching for the knife off. Is it off Bors? Yeah, Bors and Garge. Off Bors. I like Bors. Is of course Sir Bors was one of the Knights of the Round Table, wasn't he? It's got its etymology in Old English, but I like it. It's a good name for a baddie, and we've got some decent pictures of these fellows. And Bors is Dallas Cavell, who did 5 Doctor Who's. He's very funny as the roadworks overseer in The Reign of Terror, who gets hit over the head with a spade by the Doctor. And then he comes back in this. And then he's Captain Trask in The Highlanders, where he's very over the top. Then he's Sir James Quinlan in The Ambassadors of Death, where he's actually quite wooden, bizarrely. It's quite a stiff performance. And then he has very little to do at the beginning of Castrovalva as the head of security at the Faros Project. He's got a couple of lines, but 5 Doctor Who's. That's some actors we cherish a lot, like David Collings and some of those guys. And Michael Shear did more, but John Abernethy, Kevin Stoney. They great servants to Doctor Who. Didn't notch up 5 parts. And Garge is Geoffrey Cheshire, who Camfield used a lot. Again, he looks great in the Time Meddler as the chief Viking in episode 2. We don't see him again. He's got a good beard and helmet, I seem to recall. And then he comes back as Tracy in the first couple of episodes of The Invasion. And he's a Roboman leader in Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD. And for years, IMDb mixed him up with Leonard Cheshire, who founded the charity, and it was one of my first tip-offs to go, don't trust the internet, because I think Leonard Cheshire was Leonard Geoffrey Cheshire. Or there was certainly the names, there was a similarity or even an exactitude somewhere, but you just go, is it likely that they're the same person? No, it isn't. But oh boy, it was hard getting that off IMDb. Oh, this is nicely done. The burning torches in the blackness on the reconstruction. There really is a lot of invention in how they do this. And I like this. This is sort of darkness and nighttime on the planet. And we've set this planet up as this horrible place where these not very nice people fight over weapons and you could die at any minute. And obviously we know our heroes have something, an escape spaceship, and all sorts of goodies on board that will be appealing to these obviously dreadful people. That I like that. I think alien planets, well, even the past in Doctor Who at this time, it's like the show's regulars are being buffeted from hostile environment to hostile environment. And we've never quite had that since, I think, the Hartnell era, where just the very act of going from place to place is jeopardy. That's why it's a continual adventure in time and space. And each story ends on a cliffhanger, largely, and the alien planets are screeching jungles where the vegetation can be deadly, let alone the populace or the activities happening there. But the very environment, you could land on a planet that has no life like human beings on it, and it's got thorny things that turn you into things, or things that eat you, or things that poison you. And when they go back to Marco Polo's time, and they're cut off from the TARDIS, or cultures are very different. It's constantly the environment that you are in presents the danger as much as the story being told. I saw those pictures of the screamers. Are they called the screamers? The squealers? That's no better, little piggy. They've landed in Deliverance. And I saw those pictures quite late in the day. I don't quite know where they came from. So these recons are a very nice source of, obviously, the pictures that we have, many of which, as I say, there weren't that many pictures flying about of the Daleks master plan. I think it would be amazing to watch the whole thing moving. It's a compromise, no matter how, but this is done very well, I have to say. We've got some nice back shots there of the Doctor and Katarina. They've done very well with Katarina, seeing they had so little to go from. And Hartnell seems, pretty in control of his faculties. He gets less and less to do as the story goes on. This will be quite alarmingly in evidence, if I recall. But I like this setup. Bors and Garge creep through the undergrowth. They're pretty unkempt, sort of shaggy men were quite a thing as well in the 60s. I'm thinking Francis de Wolf in the Keys of Marinus, and obviously the cave people in the first story. And Prison Planet is a great idea. Shipping off your convicts who are unwanted and sticking them in a hostile environment. It's the sort of thing we do. We're being humane. We haven't killed anybody, but we've kind of let them fend for themselves. And I'm sure there are some people that would approach that and go, if you're such. You're so impressive. You sort yourselves out. So is that about it for Bors and Garge? They kind of get electrocuted. They don't get much of a showing, do they? No, he's not killed them. He's knocked them unconscious. Yeah, okay. I have no, and that's how I like my Doctor, and I know that's hypocritical of me. I have no desire to kill anybody, he said. He's changed his tune since he was going to kill Derek Newark in Unearthly Child. But I do feel, that the Doctor should not take life. Although as I get older, I'm slightly less, and since having kids, somebody tried to hurt my loved ones. I wouldn't be eager, but I wouldn't. I say it wouldn't trouble my conscience. It probably would afterwards. I get post-traumatic stress disorders and never sleep because that's because anyone who thinks otherwise is nuts. But considering the idea, so I think the Doctor taking a life as a last resort. I still don't like to see it in the show. I'm still uneasy about it, but that's that's the inherent contradiction of liberalism, isn't it? Because actually, I know there are times when it has to happen, and you can't then be mealy mouthed about it if it's something that you accept has to happen. And this is a brilliant scream from Katerina, and a great episode ending, because the companion, is in trouble. Doug Sheldon, who played Kirkson, is still with us as I record this. He's in Triangle, I seem to recall. I think he was a DJ of some sort. I think he was a sort of blonde kind of guy, not a shaggy bearded, guy. But he's never done. I don't know anyone that's ever interviewed him or anything. So that's episode 3 of the Daleks Master Plan. What's my favourite thing about that? I have to pause. I didn't know it would play straight. What's my favourite thing? Because I'm going to go over to Ian McCulloch. Ian McCulloch? Yes, my special guest is now the lead singer of Echo and the Bunnymen, or Greg Preston from Survivors. They've both got the same name, but I'm interested that I actually went for the pop music guy first, when I actually don't know anything about music, and not the actor who's been in Doctor Who. Something strange is happening in this new year, and I actually watched the first episode of Survivors this morning. So there we go. Did I watch it this morning? Yeah, I did. Oh gosh, I watched it this morning, and I think it went out. Anyway, I'd stop talking about Survivors. Oh, it is Terry Nation. I think it went out on New Year's Day, didn't it? The first episode of Survivors. I watched it this morning without actually acknowledging that during the course of the commentary I did on that, which is for patrons only. So you will never hear that if you are a casual listener. But if you're a casual listener, there's about 200 episodes of this. So frankly, I think that's probably enough for most people. What did Ian K. McLachlan like? Will it be the same as what I've chosen, which is I like the nighttime, the setting of Desperus, the idea of the prison planet, the hostile environment. I really felt that quite creepily and palpably, even though it's in a reconstruction. I felt that it felt quite dangerous, you know what I mean? And the torchlight, the flaming torches, and so the sort of grim hostility of the prison planet of Desperus. If he says one of those words, I'm having the point. What did Ian K. McLachlan think?
Episode 3, Devil's Planet. It's interesting that Terry Nation wrote that one, because he later, as you know, wrote the Blake 7 series, and there was a prison planet on that as well. And it was, there are parallels between the two of them. The particular scene that stands out for me is the Doctor and Katerina working together to set a trap for 2 of the convicts on the planet, and the scene where the 2 criminals perish because the bat-like creatures are really, you don't see much of them, but they're scary when you see them, and I like that scene on Devil's Planet.
Okay, so yes, now, because of course Ian will have seen this, so he'll know quite what we saw of the bat-like creatures. As I say, I'm assuming it was just a sort of a flap here or a foot there, which I like, which all added to the hostility there. So do I get a point for that? When he said he liked Katerina and the Doctor working together, yeah, I don't think I quite do. It was all a bit nebulous, that, Ian. But so was mine. So fair enough. Hoist by my own nebulous petard. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? Don't say that, Toby. Some people might really care. If you're one of the people who care, I concede. I fall on my own nebulous petard, which hasn't therefore done any damage, but I still don't quite get the point, I think. No, I did say the hostility of I'll tell you what, you decide. That's what life is like on the planet Desperus. You gotta scrabble to survive. I think you'll find. I think you'll find. I think you'll find. I think you'll find. And you see, I'm too easily distracted to be making bold claims. So, I was talking about Julian Cherrier being the first non-Caucasian actor to be credited in Doctor Who. That was largely bred from, there used to be a myth that Earl Cameron was the first black actor to be in Doctor Who, and then, of course, anybody that looked went, oh no, Elroy Joseph's in The Smugglers preceded the 10th Planet by one story. But actually, then, of course, as we know, Dwight Wiley, who's the radio announcer in The War Machines, makes him the first black actor in Doctor Who to be credited. So then I started to talk about Julian Cherrier and wanted to point out, but actually the first, but Julian Cherrier is not black. He's of Indian heritage, but he's an actor of colour. I was basically trying to point out that I knew that I was showing off, going, but Julian Cherrier is an actor of colour. And no, he's the first actor. And then I was going to talk about actresses, and I got distracted because, of course, the first actress of colour, I was going to say, there's Zora Segal in The Crusade, but not in Marco Polo, because even though she is in Marco Polo, she isn't credited in Marco Polo. But Xenia Merton, who plays Ping Cho in Marco Polo, who is of Burmese origin, she is the first. So her and Zora Segal are actresses who predate Julian Cherrier. But of course, banging on about Marco Polo, I sort of discounted because there's an actor in there called O Aikida who plays Yeng, and he appears on some cast lists now, never used to, but I still don't think he was credited on screen. But it meant I completely forgot about Basil Tang, who I don't know anything about, but I'm assuming from Basil Tang's name that he is a non-Caucasian actor. So I guess he probably counts as the first non-Caucasian actor to be credited in Doctor Who. So I should have gone into a bit more detail and basically, or when saying I know Julian Cherrier is an Indian actor, not have started to make bold claims about who was the first and this, that, or the other, and then losing my thread and talking about something else. If you're going to do something about landmarks stuff, do it in a pre-scripted one, Toby. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, I am happy for this addendum to contain an errata. No, it'd be several errata, wouldn't it? Errata, an erratum? Anyway, I'm almost undermining the fact that I'm trying to distract you from my nonsense by being Latin at the end, which will paper over my cracks. Anyway, basically, all I wanted to do in that bit of the podcast was say, Julian Cherrier, who played Zephon, was one of the earliest actors in Doctor Who to be a non-Caucasian actor, and I went off on one. So that's hopefully cleared that up. Go away. So that was the end of the Devil's Planet, the planet Desperus. Katerina is in an awful lot of trouble. And people who don't know what's coming might be in for a bit of a surprise. So thank you very much for listening. Come and join me next time. But in the meantime, watch out for those screamers. And thanks very much for listening. Ta-ta. Thank you so much for listening to Happy Times and Places, which is presented by me, Toby Hadoke, and my special guest, Ian K. McLachlan. These commentaries would be impossible without the support of patrons, who include Paul Carnahan, Andy Case, Richard Chalk, John Curley, Mark Dakin, John Elledge, Gary Gillett, James Gould, Lisa C. Greco, Dave Hoskin, Jessica Jones, Andrew Jordan, Ashley Knight, Clive Lewis, Guy Lambert, James Lark, Gavin McLean, Nathan Martin, David Matthewman, John McClay, Rossa McPhillips, Stuart Mitchell, Nathan Moore, Matthew Newton, Dave Owen, Melvin Pena, Keith Pirrie, and everyone else who I will mention at another time. The music was by Dave Gates, and the podcast artwork is by Dylan Patterson. If you would like your name read out on the credits and further material, some of it revolving around these recent finds of the Daleks Master Plan episodes The Nightmare Begins and Devil's Planet, please go to my Patreon page. There is some free content up there, but also if you would like to subscribe for as little as £3 a month, you get all sorts of extra goodies, including advanced releases of podcasts, lots of behind-the-scenes stuff, and various goodies, including monthly AMAs. I wonder what next month's is going to be all about. And it's a lovely community too. And if you are a paid patron, you get to contribute to the podcasts, which are, just be aware, I aim always for the positive. I've no place or interest in people getting cross or angry or arguing with each other. It's not a Doctor Who forum. I've never had to enforce that. It's just a congregation of people who are enthusiastic about Doctor Who and occasionally drill down unnecessarily into its minutiae. But that's all right. That's the currency there. So that's my Patreon page. You can also donate at ko-fi.com/Toby Hadoke. That's a one-off payment that doesn't involve you in any monthly obligations. And if you could like and support my output everywhere you get it, iTunes, Spotify, Patreon, some sort of mind implanting app, I don't know, wherever you get it, a thumbs up, 5 stars always really, really helps, as do a few lines about what you like about this stuff, and that's really helpful. And then I can continue giving whatever spare time I have to producing stuff that hopefully you like and is of interest. I'm also on social media at Toby Hadoke, at Hadoke Podcasts on Twitter. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram at toby.hadoke, and I have a Facebook page. But also a reminder that Film is Fabulous is out there on all of the social media, and they have a donate option on their website, and the more donations they get, the more they are going to be able to apply their fastidiousness to the reclamation of lost works. They're not a treasure hunt, but they are there simply to stop film collectors' collections being chucked into a skip by relatives who might not know what they have, and that involves a lot of very delicate work. And from what I have witnessed and observed, Film is Fabulous are definitely the right people to be doing it, and their motives are pure. And I don't get paid for any of this, by the way, so this isn't a money spinner for me. This is all something that has been fueled by enthusiasm, and that includes Film is Fabulous. So everybody's heart is in the right place, and I think it's the best chance we have of, if anything is out there, of it being found. Oh, I've recorded so many videos. I've got so much on my phone, and I thought, well, once Friday is over, I thought, well, initially I thought, well, I'll just get it all out on Friday, and then I was up at 5:30 on Friday morning, went on to BBC Breakfast. I thought they do ask some odd questions from left field, but I don't bristle as much as I used to, and all the way through this, because there's been some conduct out there and some comments and some people getting absolutely the wrong end of the stick, quite often I think for the right reason, is to act for the wrong reasons. Sorry, is to actually just ignore all of that, because this is a happy day, this is a happy weekend, this is a happy moment and a happy experience, and we respond to it how we choose. We are architects of our own environment. This is good. I've dreamed of this for so long, of missing episodes of Doctor Who going out. I would have to tell you, I probably didn't dream of The Nightmare Begins or Devil's Planet, because I kind of felt that Master Plan was probably a tricky prospect. And of course, in my games that I play, I probably choose an episode from each story, and the headline news from Master Plan is always episode 12. So if I'm doing the exercise, I go, well, I'll choose Master Plan 12. But I did want to choose another episode of Master Plan, but I had to squeeze them out because I wanted representation of everything else. But of course, it's going to be really unlikely if we go to a film collector has managed to accrue one episode from each missing story or something, just so that we've got a lovely spread. But when I found out, I was absolutely thrilled, because I think Masterplan is such a mystery. No telesnaps. And we have Peter, and I know that Peter would be pleased that stuff of his was coming back. And just because it's such a damn good story, particularly those first 4 episodes and the last one. Feast of Stephen is interesting. I've got a soft spot for Volcano because it's got the cricket scene in. But having 1 to 3 is I think the strongest, probably the strongest continuous run. Well, 1 to 4 would definitely be of that story. So I'm taking 1 to 3 as a win. And if you're listening to this when this goes out, and I'm lucky, I've seen them, and I can tell you, they're really, really good. Not long now. Oh, and one more thing. I said very gleefully at the top of this show, we don't need the recons anymore, but boy, we did. So I don't want that statement to sound like I was undermining them. Loose cannon, they tend to be my go-to recons, but there've been more interesting and innovative approaches made recently as technology has increased, and I've seen some, and I know of others. I know there was a Nightmare Begins that looked sort of almost animated and has a big lengthy coda to the Mythmakers on it as well, which is, just a mind-bogglingly good piece of work. But I have been watching and always collected the loose cannon recons back in the day, and although we may not need their recons for Nightmare Begins and Devil's Planet now, we certainly did back in the day, and they were really useful to have, and they were great labours of love and made freely available. And as I say, I would never seek to undermine the skill of those endeavours and their availability, and the fact that so much hard work went into not only making them but providing extra material. Oh, and I remember the excitement every time one arrived through the post on VHS, no less. Those were the days. So yeah, just a thanks to reconners everywhere, old and new, because it's a selfless endeavour all about spreading the enjoyment of these programmes and their availability to as many fans in the most accessible way possible.